courtyard to call. This is an incredible location and a great place to visit. It truly is one of my favorite places.
Oh, jeez. You're going to throw me off. You're going to do that. Damn, I'm trying to be serious, Jerry. You're ruining it for me.
You could have the front row. You'd be much happier.
Yeah.
Oh, great kids.
Great.
Let me know when you all are ready.
I mean, I just started like
Oh, all right. Well, I just want to make Okay.
Oh, what's for that?
You want me? Okay, got it. Okay, good afternoon and thank you for being here. Recent actions taken by the new presidential administration have cast serious doubts on the future of federal support in our elections. Last Friday, key cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency, CISA, known as CISA, personnel, including Region 10's own election security advisor, were suddenly placed on administrative leave. This abrupt move has left state and local elections officials wondering, who can we depend on to support elections security now, especially in light of the growing threats from cyber criminals and nation-state actors? For years, CISA has been a trusted partner, helping us defend against real threats, from white powder attacks targeting election offices to ballot drop box attacks in Vancouver. Their expertise, security assessments, and low-cost cybersecurity tools protect all 39 Washington counties, providing resources that many local jurisdictions simply cannot afford on their own. One of the most essential initiatives CISA supports is the Election Infrastructure Information Sharing and Analysis Center. This hub provides our election officials with real-time threat analysis and cybersecurity protections, including 15 cyber underserved counties that rely on these solutions to defend against attacks at no cost. Without them, securing these networks would cost the state 3 times as much, something our budget cannot sustain. At the same time, the threats to election security are evolving. We are now confronting the rise of AI-generated deepfakes, which can be used to mislead voters and undermine the trust in the process. Just recently, a deepfake video falsely depicting Utah Governor Spencer Cox circulated online, fueling election conspiracy theories. This incident is a stark reminder of how advanced technology can be weaponized to spread misinformation. Without strong cybersecurity and public education efforts, these threats will grow. We are already seeing the impact of these federal disruptions. A planned election security briefing with CISA and the FBI for legislative leaders had to be recently canceled because the agencies could no longer support it. At the same time, former Governor Inslee's budget proposal removes funding for key election security programs, including voter education efforts designed to strengthen public trust. We are urging the legislature to fill that gap, especially as federal support for election security remains uncertain. Voter confidence is already fragile. MIT research shows that nearly 30% of voters believe their election office engages in fraud. That's why my office launched Mark the Ballot campaign in 2024 to ensure voters have access to clear, reliable election information. And it's making a difference. Recognition of election security measures increased by 15%. Trust in state government fairness grew by 36%. Confidence in election officials rose by 12%. Cutting funding to these efforts now threatens to undo the progress we made. Election security is an issue. Both Democrat and Republican secretaries of state have raised concerns over these sudden federal changes. Every elected official, from city council to the presidency, depends on fair, free, and secure elections. Free and fair elections are a fundamental pillar to our democracy, and we remain committed to supporting their security and resilience. That's why earlier today I sent a letter to our congressional delegation urging them to take immediate action. We need clear commitments from our federal partners to, 1, reinstate the CISA team or communicate who will take on their roles and responsibility. Election officials need to know who they can turn to for guidance and support. 2, confirm the funding and support for Election Infrastructure Information Sharing and Analysis Center will continue. This program is essential for protecting our elections, and any disruptions put our security at risk. 3, engage the secretaries of state across the country and their teams before making changes that impact election security. We need transparency and collaboration to make informed decisions. Threats to our elections are real and growing. This is not the time to weaken our defenses. We should be reinforcing them. Now more than ever, we must work together to ensure our elections remain safe, resilient, and worthy of the public trust. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions, and I have my team here to take any technical questions that you might have.
You referenced former Governor Inslee's budget reductions. Can you elaborate a little bit how much, what it was for, and the current governor, have you spoke to him about whether he will, as he has said, accept the Inslee budget cuts, or does he have a different opinion?
So the Inslee budget had removed or stopped funding the $6 million for the biennia, so a little over $6 million, to continue funding of the ISR, which is the Information Security Response Team, and the CEP, which is our civic engagement program that will, that talks about our elections. And these programs also help in informing the public and dispelling any misinformation that's out there. We are ongoing talks with OFM, but right now, because it's in the legislative realm, we're talking a lot with the fiscal chairs and those on the fiscal committees.
What has that response been like when you talk to these chairs?
So it's been fairly positive, but of course, when you're on a fiscal committee, you can't really show your cards. In light of what just happened in the last 2 weeks, I really feel like that we have to kind of raise the alarm, because we have no idea whether or not these services are going to continue or not. It appears like they're not continuing. They just dismissed or put on administrative leave a lot of the federal support that we rely on and the counties rely on for secure elections.
Can you talk a little bit more about what that federal support looks like? Obviously, counties are doing the sort of on-the-ground work. So can you just elaborate or offer some more examples of what that federal support concretely looks like?
Yeah, they'll do penetration tests for our 15 counties that are under, don't have the cyber security. In fact, I wouldn't give you the list of that. So those are the counties, rural counties, less than population of 50,000. Median income household of 75,000. They provide a lot of the cybersecurity that they just can't do, and someone's going to have to take up that gap if CISA is no longer going to support that.
Can you just elaborate? So in real, can you kind of clarify? Are these individuals who are sitting in an office in Spokane, calling somebody in one of these counties and saying, "We just notice someone trying to hack your system," or are these folks in Washington, D.C. informing the Secretary of State's office to pass it on? I mean, how, and then the secondary question related, is Washington losing any of the Help America Vote Act, the HAVA funds?
So your first part of the question, it usually originates from the Region 10 office to our partners, though there will be rare instances where we get something from Washington, D.C., when there was an attack on one of our counties that took it offline for about 100 hours. I got a personal phone call from someone from CISA. And then for the HABA funding, I haven't heard anything. That I'm looking to my team if they have heard anything, if that's been cut off at all.
So HABA has not, but the Save America Act will go to the floor later this week at the federal level. And we're uncertain at this point in time if there's the support that we would need to continue to fund that program.
Yeah.
What would that mean?
If it passes, or if
Doesn't Washington receive a couple $1 million a year from that program? And so is that money that would have to be backfilled, I guess?
well, any federal, if the federal backs away from any of this stuff, we're gonna have to backfill it. They're just we're going to have to do it. Like these cyber underserved counties that I talked about. I mean, they would do endpoint detection, and someone's going to have to do that, and someone's going to have to help them do penetration tests, and we're going to have to fill that hole somehow.
Can you talk a little bit more about the deep fakes? I know that you mentioned the Utah governor, but can you talk a little bit more about the concerns there? Is there anything else that you're seeing aside from that one example that you gave that
Right.
is concerning?
So you don't have to go very far on the internet to go find some of the examples of the deep fakes. I called to the attention of what happened in New Hampshire with the robocall deep fake. I know it was more audio, obviously, than video. The one in Utah was video. You see instances and events of these deep fakes a lot in Eastern Europe and Taiwan, and certainly our adversaries out there can use it against us. In fact, I think there was one that was in Georgia, I believe, where I think they had a Haitian immigrant showing having extra ballots or something that appeared, which was not true.
About a year and a half out from the next federal election and almost 4 years to the next federal presidential election, what is the importance of this ongoing work that could be potentially disrupted by this lack of cooperation from the federal government?
So what we're facing right now is a threat of nation-state actors and criminals. At the same time, we have a segment of our population that they just don't believe in elections. And that's why we launched the Mark the Ballot campaign. So we're doing our part, not just me, but other secretaries of state, to educate the public about the process of elections. But it's being countered and pressured by overseas actors. And so by not having the support, we're in an instance now where we're starting to win over people's views of, people distrusting elections. Now are people, if the funding's cut off, people are going to start not trusting our elections again. This is what overseas actors want. This is what our adversaries want. They want Republicans and Democrats. They want Americans to tear each other apart, to take their eye off the ball while they do their national security goals. And that's what I believe. That's what they have in their own national security strategy. And it just doesn't help that the federal government isn't, they're not helping us in this process, or it appears that they're not helping. My hope is that somehow these services are going to continue in some other form, but that has not been communicated to us, not to me or any of the other secretaries of state.
In your letter, you talked about the role of CISA in responding to the threats of the white powders and the ballot box arson in Vancouver. Can you talk a little bit more about, I guess, that aspect of the collaboration with the federal government on these threats that we are seeing physically?
Right. I mean, the white powder instance was a great example of how this whole of government approach, or what I call whole of society approach, because you're talking about local and state and federal partners working together. When the first white powder incident happened, I believe in Thurston County and later in Pierce County, we were able to identify the commonalities of this envelope that were being sent out. And working as a group, we were able to track new letters that were being sent out. And I remember being in a Zoom call with the FBI there and the U.S. Postal Service, and one of the analysts says, "Hey, I just got information that these envelopes are being sent to Georgia, to California, and our own elections folks were able to inform those secretaries of state that these letters are coming, therefore they could be intercepted before they were opened. But that's the type of collaboration we need, as a team effort. And not having a federal partner is a big risk to us.
And CISA facilitated the collaboration?
CISA was definitely a part of that. Yeah. And then when it came to when the counties going offline for about 100 hours, they were definitely a part of that, helping us get the county back online. And don't forget, there's other instances that we have in the state. We had it not with elections, but with the courts, that there was a cyber incident there that took a lot of the county, at least the court part, offline. And what you don't get, and we can get that from our cybersecurity team, is the millions of cyber attacks that happen that we're able to stop just through passive efforts and through our work with CISA.
There are a couple of different things you talked about in terms of just number amounts. You said it would cost the state triple what it does now if some of the support goes away. Is there like a number overall of like how much is at risk for the state, or how much the state would have to shoulder in order to ensure that these security measures and things, remain operative?
Sure. In raw dollars, just for our state, we were hoping for this. Well, not just $6 million. We were going to go up to about $10 million because the threat is out there. And so now we're just trying to hope that we get the $6 million to continue operations. This gap that has all of a sudden opened up is something we didn't even consider. We didn't think that the federal government would just pull this away, or at least show us the potential of this being pulled away. And so that's a dollar figure that we're going to probably have to get with, and now we're going to have to do analysis on whether or not we're going to have to step up to the plate. My hope, by doing this press conference and other secretaries of state kind of sounding the alarm, that the federal government will at least let us know that maybe these services aren't going away, they're going someplace else. But it doesn't help when all this expertise, and these folks are not, they're not Republicans or Democrats. They're just, a lot of them are just working there because they want to do the right thing. They're just told that they'd be on administrative leave. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. And if you have any other questions after this that comes up, our team would be happy to answer that. If you didn't receive, I see some of you did receive the letter from that we sent to the members of Congress. We can give you that, and we also have some one-pager telling you about the kind of the support from federal election cybersecurity funding. So with that, thank you very much.